I was sitting alone at that Orlando cafe watching the clock tick past our meeting time. Another failed blind date. But then a tiny blonde girl appeared at my table, looked me straight in the eye and asked if I was Anthony. What she whispered next about her mother needing a husband, and how some men don't like kids, made my heart stop. I had no idea that this 3-year-old's honesty would expose my deepest fears and completely change the direction of my entire life. The evening lights reflected off the cafe windows as I checked my watch again. 20 minutes late. I'm Anthony, 34 years old, and I've built a successful company working 80-hour weeks. My business partner insisted I needed to meet someone, anyone, to stop being married to my work. He promised this woman was different, genuine, exactly what I needed. But that empty chair across from me told a different story. I was reaching for my wallet when I noticed her. A little girl with blonde curls and a pink ribbon, maybe 3 or 4 years old, weaving between tables with surprising determination. She walked straight to me, looked up, and asked with perfect politeness if I was Mr. Anthony. I was stunned. Who was this child? I'm Lily, she announced seriously. My mommy sent me to tell you she's really sorry she's late. She's parking the car. She said it like she was delivering the most important message in the world. I couldn't help but smile. Her mother had shown her my picture and told her to find the man by the window with the candle. I invited her to sit, and she climbed into the chair with fierce independence, refusing any help. Once settled, she folded her tiny hands on the table and studied me with those serious eyes. Then came the question that changed everything. Are you going to marry my mommy? I nearly choked. This child, this brave little messenger, had just asked me the most direct question I'd ever heard. She explained that her neighbor said mommy needed a husband, and mommy said it was hard because some men don't like kids. Her innocent eyes pierced through me as she asked, "Do you like kids?" Before I could answer, a woman rushed to our table, breathless and mortified. She had the same blonde hair as Lily, and her face was flushed with embarrassment. "Lily, I told you to wait by the door." She turned to me with apologetic eyes. "I'm Natalie. I'm so sorry. This is my daughter who apparently doesn't follow instructions." Lily proudly announced she'd found me and delivered the message perfectly. Natalie looked like she wanted the floor to swallow her whole. She explained about the parking nightmare, the confusing meter, and how Lily had taken matters into her own hands. I assured her it was fine, that Lily had been wonderful. As Natalie sat down, settling Lily beside her, she took a deep breath. "I should have told you I have a daughter when we agreed to meet. I understand completely if you want to leave." Her voice was quiet, resigned, like she'd had this conversation before. She explained that most men leave when they discover Lily exists. She wanted one evening without being judged as a single mother before anyone even met her. I looked at this brave little girl who had navigated a restaurant full of strangers to find me, and at this mother who had raised such a confident, polite child. Something shifted inside me. "I think anyone who judges you for being a mother is an idiot missing out on something incredible," I said. "Lily is clearly amazing, and that's a reflection of you." Natalie's eyes filled with tears. "That's the nicest thing anyone said to me in a very long time." In that moment, sitting in that Orlando cafe, I realized I wasn't looking at a complication. I was looking at something I didn't even know I'd been searching for. A real family. A real connection. Something worth more than all my business success combined. We ordered dinner, and what could have been the most awkward evening of my life became something wonderful. Lily sat between us, chattering happily about her daycare friends, her favorite cartoons, and why purple was the best color in the world. She asked me questions that made both Natalie and me laugh out loud. "Do you have a dog? Can we get a dog? Mommy says maybe, but maybe means no." I watched Natalie relax as the evening progressed. Her shoulders dropped, her smile became genuine, and the worry lines on her forehead disappeared. She had been bracing herself for rejection, for me to make an excuse and leave. But I was genuinely interested in getting to know both of them. This little girl, this unexpected messenger, had already shown me more authenticity in 10 minutes than I'd experienced in years of business meetings and blind dates. During dessert, while Lily became absorbed in coloring on the kids' menu the restaurant provided, I leaned toward Natalie. "Lily asked me earlier if I was going to marry you," I said quietly. Natalie's face turned completely red. "Oh God, I'm so sorry," she said, covering her face with her hands. She heard my neighbor Mrs. Henderson say something about me needing to find a husband, and now she thinks every man I meet is a potential candidate. It's mortifying. I reached across the table and gently pulled her hands away from her face. "It's okay," I said with a smile. "Actually, it made me think about what I really want in life." Natalie looked at me with curiosity and confusion. I continued, choosing my words carefully. I've spent the last 10 years building my company. I've achieved success by every traditional measure. Money, reputation, respect in my industry. But every night, I go home to an empty apartment in Orlando. And lately, I've been wondering what the point of all of it is. I looked at Lily, carefully coloring inside the lines with intense concentration, then back at Natalie. Watching you two tonight, the way you are with each other, it reminded me that the best things in life aren't things at all. They're people. They're connections. They're moments exactly like this one. I paused, feeling vulnerable in a way I hadn't felt in years. I've been so focused on building something professionally that I forgot to build anything personally. Natalie studied my face, trying to determine if I was being sincere or just saying what she wanted to hear. "Are you saying you want to see us again?" she asked carefully, her voice barely above a whisper. I could see the hope in her eyes, mixed with fear of disappointment. "I'm saying I'd like to try," I replied honestly. "If you're willing. I don't have any experience with kids and I work way too much and I'll probably mess up constantly. But I'd like the chance to get to know you both better. Really get to know you." The relief on Natalie's face was immediate and beautiful. Over the following months, I became a regular part of their lives. I learned that bedtime routines are sacred and non-negotiable. I discovered that children's medicine comes in flavors and that getting a 4-year-old to take it requires negotiation skills beyond anything I'd learned in business school. I attended my first parent-teacher conference, my first school play where Lily was a flower in the background, and my first trip to the emergency room when she fell off the monkey bars. Natalie showed me a completely different world. She taught me to slow down, to notice the small joys I'd been rushing past my entire adult life. Weekend mornings became about making pancakes together instead of answering emails. Evenings became about animated movies and popcorn instead of reviewing contracts. I started leaving work at 5 o'clock, something I hadn't done in a decade. A year after that first meeting in the Orlando café, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I had learned so much in those 12 months. I learned about bedtime routines, about the strange logic of negotiating with a 4-year-old, about children's medicine and playground rules. Natalie had shown me a world I never knew existed beyond my boardrooms and profit margins. She taught me to find joy in the simplest things. Watching animated movies on rainy afternoons, family dinners where Lily told us about her day, weekend mornings making pancakes together. Lily had appointed herself as my personal judge, regularly reporting to her mother whether I was doing a good job or needed improvement. "Mr. Anthony needs to try harder at playing dolls," she'd say seriously, making both Natalie and me laugh until our stomachs hurt. But she also told Natalie when I did something right, like remembering her favorite bedtime story or making her laugh when she was sad. I decided to propose in the same cafe where we had met, with Lily present. She was part of this decision too. She had been from the very beginning. As we sat at that same corner table by the window, I felt my heart racing faster than it ever had during any business presentation. I got down on one knee but not in front of Natalie. I knelt in front of Lily first. "Lily, I need to ask you something very important," I said, looking into those serious eyes that had first questioned me a year ago. Natalie watched with tears already forming, her hand covering her mouth. "I'd like to ask your mommy to marry me, but that means I'd be your family too. Would that be okay with you?" Lily studied me carefully, tilting her head the way she did when she was thinking really hard about something. Then she asked the question that made my heart swell. "Would you be my daddy?" I felt emotion catch in my throat. "If you'd like me to be," I managed to say. "I know you had a daddy before and I'm not trying to replace him. But I love your mommy and I love you and I'd be honored to be your family." Lily considered my proposal with the seriousness only a child can bring to life's biggest decisions. The entire cafe seemed to hold its breath, waiting. Other diners had noticed what was happening and I could feel their eyes on us. Then Lily nodded slowly, a smile spreading across her face. "Okay," she said. "But you have to get better at playing dolls and you have to learn how to make my mommy's special pancakes." I laughed through the tears forming in my eyes. "Deal," I said solemnly, shaking her tiny hand like we were sealing the most important business contract of my life. Then I turned to Natalie, still on one knee. "Your daughter has given me permission. Now I need to ask you." I pulled out the ring I'd been carrying for weeks, waiting for the perfect moment. "Natalie, you and Lily have taught me what actually matters in life. You've shown me that success isn't measured in hours worked or deals closed. It's measured in moments like this, in bedtime stories and playground visits, in being part of something bigger than myself. Will you marry me?" Natalie said yes through happy tears, and Lily cheered so loudly that everyone in the cafe turned to look. She jumped out of her chair and announced to every single person there, Mr. Anthony is going to be my daddy now, and everyone should be very happy for us." The cafe erupted in applause. Strangers smiled at us, some wiping their own eyes. The waiter brought us champagne on the house and sparkling juice for Lily. We were married 6 months later in a beautiful ceremony in Orlando. Lily was our flower girl, wearing the most beautiful white dress she had picked herself. She took her job incredibly seriously, walking down that aisle with perfect precision, tossing petals exactly as she'd practiced dozens of times. But what made everyone laugh and cry at the same time was when she grabbed the microphone during the reception. "I found Mr. Anthony first," she announced proudly to all our guests. "I went to that table and told him about Mommy. So really this whole wedding is because of me." The guests laughed and applauded, and I couldn't have agreed more. It was all because of her courage, her honesty, her refusal to wait by the door like she was told. In her toast at the reception, Natalie shared the complete story of our first meeting with all our guests. She stood there in her beautiful white dress, holding the microphone with one hand and wiping tears with the other. "I was so nervous about Anthony finding out I had a daughter that night," she began, her voice trembling with emotion. "I asked Lily to wait by the door while I looked for him myself. I wanted to control the situation, to find the right moment to tell him. But Lily, being Lily, decided she could handle things herself." The guests laughed, and Lily beamed with pride from her seat at the head table. "She marched right up to him and delivered my message," Natalie continued. "And in doing so, she showed Anthony exactly who we were from the very first moment. A package deal. Team. A family. There was no hiding it, no easing into it, no pretending we were anything other than what we are." Natalie looked directly at me, her eyes shining with love and gratitude. "Anthony, thank you for seeing that Lily wasn't a complication but a gift. Thank you for not running away when a 3-year-old asked if you were going to marry me within 5 minutes of meeting you." Everyone laughed again, remembering that part of the story. "Thank you for loving us both, completely and without reservation. And thank you for being the kind of man who recognized that the best things in life come in unexpected packages." She paused, her voice breaking slightly. "Sometimes they're delivered by determined little girls who don't follow instructions. Who march into restaurants and into hearts and change everything." She raised her glass. "To unexpected meetings, to children's wisdom, to love that accepts us completely, complications and all. To family however it comes to us." As everyone raised their glasses and cheered, I stood and pulled both Natalie and Lily into my arms. This was my family now. Not the family I had imagined when I was sitting alone in that cafe a year ago, checking my watch and thinking about leaving. This was so much better. This was real. This was built on acceptance, honesty, and the courage to see possibilities where others only saw complications. I looked down at Lily, who was grinning up at me. "Good job, Mr. Anthony," she whispered. "You did it right." Coming from her, that was the highest praise I could ever receive. She had judged me worthy, and that meant everything. 5 years have passed since that evening in Orlando. Lily is 9 now, and she has a little brother named James who she bosses around with the same confidence she showed that night at the cafe. She still tells everyone who will listen that she found me first, that this whole family exists because of her bravery. And she's absolutely right. I think about the man I was before that blind date. Working 80-hour weeks, building a company, achieving success that felt hollow. I had everything except what mattered most. I was so focused on traditional measures of success that I almost missed the greatest gift of my life. This is my story of triumph. Do you think I handled it correctly? If you were in my shoes, what would you have done? Share your thoughts in the comments. I can't wait to hear your perspective. Don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to Memorable Stories and Overcoming, where we share inspiring stories of triumph and justice every single day.